It's time to focus and value yourself. Best motivational speech, Matthew McConaughey. There's this moment in life when you suddenly realize how many times you've made yourself small just to make other people comfortable. How many times you've stepped back, held your tongue, lowered your voice, or dimmed your own light because somewhere along the way you were convinced that shining too brightly would bother someone. And the wildest part is that most of those people weren't even paying attention. You were shrinking yourself for an audience that wasn't watching, for opinions that weren't grounded in truth, for expectations that were never meant to guide your life. Think about how many dreams you talked yourself out of because you thought they were too big, too unrealistic, too different from what the world expected of you. Think about how many times you told yourself to stay quiet when your heart was screaming to speak. We all do it. We learn to play small because small feels safe, small feels familiar, small feels like less risk, less judgment, less disappointment. But small is also less life, less joy, less possibility, less of who you were actually meant to be. There's a reason you feel that restlessness inside you, that frustration that comes up when you know you're capable of more than the life you're currently living. That feeling isn't a flaw, it's a message. It's your soul reminding you that playing small is not your destiny. You weren't designed to fit into tight spaces that crush your potential. You weren't built for the background. You're here to take up space. You're here to grow, to stretch, to evolve into something that your past self could barely imagine. But it starts with noticing when you've been shrinking. It starts with getting honest about the ways you've been hiding. Maybe you stay quiet so you don't upset anyone. Maybe you avoid opportunities because you don't feel ready. Maybe you push your dreams aside because you think they're not as important as everyone else's needs. But here's the truth. Every time you shrink yourself, you teach the world how to treat you. And more importantly, you teach yourself what you think you're worth. If you've been living in a version of yourself that feels smaller than the fire inside you, it's time to step out of it. Not in a loud, dramatic way, just in a way that's real. Take one step toward being the person you know you are when no one is watching. Speak a little louder, stand a little taller, choose yourself a little more boldly. Give yourself permission to take up the space that was always yours. Because the moment you stop shrinking is the moment you start living. There comes a point when you have to stop waiting for someone to choose you, approve of you, validate you, or recognize what you bring to the table. There is a moment when you realize that the only person who has been missing in your own life is you. Not the version of you who bends and shifts to please everyone, not the version of you who tolerates disrespect because you fear losing people, but the version of you who knows deep down that your time, your energy, and your peace are valuable. The version of you who deserves to be treated with care, starting with how you treat yourself. So ask yourself honestly, how often do you pour into everyone else and leave yourself drained at the end of the day? How often do you let people take more than they give because you want to be the strong one, the reliable one, the one who never complains? It sounds noble, but it quietly chips away at your sense of worth. When you constantly put yourself last, you teach your mind that you are not a priority, and then life starts to reflect that belief back to you in 1,000 little ways. Valuing yourself is not selfish, it is necessary. It is the foundation for every relationship you have, every decision you make, every boundary you set, every dream you chase. When you value yourself, you stop chasing people who are not walking toward you. You stop begging for attention from those who only give you crumbs. You stop explaining your worth to those who refuse to see it. You begin to recognize that your energy is a currency, and not everyone can afford you. But this shift has to start from within. You cannot wait for others to suddenly wake up and realize your value. You cannot wait for the world to hand you permission to honor your own needs. You have to make that call yourself. And sometimes that means stepping away from people who drain you. Sometimes it means saying no to things you used to tolerate. Sometimes it means letting go of environments that shrink your spirit and choosing ones that help you grow. And look, valuing yourself doesn't always feel comfortable at first. It can feel unfamiliar, even a little selfish, especially if you've spent years prioritizing everyone else. But the moment you begin to choose yourself, something shifts. You start to breathe differently. You start to walk with a little more purpose. You begin to feel a quiet strength in your chest, the kind that comes from knowing you are no longer abandoning yourself. You deserve to be surrounded by people who see your worth, but that starts with you seeing it first. When you decide you are valuable, the world adjusts, your relationships change, your opportunities change. The way you carry yourself changes, and everything that once felt out of reach suddenly feels possible. Because your life transforms the second you decide that you are no longer an afterthought. There is a moment in your life when you have to start guarding your energy like it is something sacred, because it is. Your energy determines the quality of your thoughts, your relationships, your decisions, and your entire direction in life. And the truth is, most people give their energy away without even realizing it. They give it to distractions, to negativity, to people who drain them, to situations that go nowhere, to habits that keep them stuck. But if you want to grow, if you want to value yourself, you have to protect the space inside you where your strength, clarity, and purpose live. Think about how many times your day gets shaped by things that should not have even been allowed into your mental space. A negative comment, a pessimistic friend, an argument that had nothing to do with you, a memory that pulls you backward instead of forward. These things take pieces of you, quietly and consistently, until you realize you have nothing left for yourself. And that is where everything starts to fall apart. Protecting your energy is not about building walls around your heart. It is about choosing what deserves a place in your life. Not everything does, not everyone does. Your peace is not a public playground. Your mind is not a dumping ground for other people's frustrations. Your heart is not a recycling bin for old pain. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. And sometimes, protecting your energy means getting comfortable with silence, with stillness, with being alone for a while. Because when you are alone, you can hear yourself again. You can hear what you actually feel, what you truly want, what your heart is trying to tell you. A lot of people run from that because facing yourself is uncomfortable. But that discomfort is where you find yourself again. Other times, protecting your energy means choosing better people, people who add, not subtract, people who lift, not pull down, people who inspire you to grow instead of convincing you to stay small. You do not need a crowd. You need alignment. You need honesty. You need people who are intentionally good for your soul. And yes, protecting your energy means looking at your own habits too. The late nights, the endless scrolling, the lack of boundaries, the constant overthinking. Sometimes the thief of your peace is not a person. Sometimes it is the part of you that refuses to let go of what is hurting you. You cannot build a powerful life on a foundation that drains you. At some point, something has to change. When you begin to value your energy, life starts to reorganize itself around that decision. Things that are not meant for you fall away. Things that are meant for you come toward you. And for the first time in a long time, you feel a kind of inner strength that cannot be taken from you. Because there comes a time when you have to stop giving your time to things that keep you small. Your time is the most valuable currency you have, but it is also the easiest thing to waste without noticing. You give it away in minutes, in hours, in old habits that offer nothing in return, in people who keep you stuck in loops that look like comfort but feel like regret. If you truly value yourself, you have to start valuing your time with the same intensity, the same seriousness, the same respect you give to the things and people you care about. Think for a moment about how easily time slips through your fingers. You wake up and reach for your phone before you reach for your purpose. You say yes to things you do not want to do because you feel guilty saying no. You stay in conversations that drain you because you do not want to seem rude. You hold on to routines that do not help you grow simply because they are familiar. Before you know it, days pass, weeks pass, years pass, and you realize most of your time was spent on things that never moved you forward. Valuing your time is not about becoming rigid or robotic. It is about becoming intentional. It means asking yourself boldly, does this matter, or does it just fill space? Is this helping me become who I want to be, or is it keeping me where I have always been? Is this feeding my mind, my heart, my growth, or is it just distracting me from what I am afraid to face? When you start protecting your time, something incredible happens. You become more present, more aware, more selective. You start showing up differently because you are no longer living on autopilot. And the people around you notice. They notice your boundaries. They notice your focus. They notice that you no longer tolerate anything that steals hours from your life without giving something meaningful back. Sometimes valuing your time means letting go of relationships that are built on convenience instead of connection. Sometimes it means stepping away from environments that keep you in the same conversations, the same patterns, the same stagnant energy. Sometimes it means giving yourself the time you never had before, the time to heal, the time to rest, the time to learn, the time to grow, the time to dream again. And sometimes valuing your time means doing the uncomfortable things. Starting the project, ending the habit, following the idea, cleaning up your space, taking care of your body. These things seem small, but they are proof that you believe your time is worthy of something better than procrastination and avoidance. People who value themselves invest their time in things that expand them. They do not wait for permission. They do not wait for the perfect moment. They understand that their life is shaped in the minutes they choose, not the minutes they waste. Your time has always been trying to tell you who you are becoming. Start listening. Because once you begin to value your time, you begin to value your entire life. Once you learn to protect your energy, you finally begin to protect your future. There comes a point when you realize that nothing around you will truly change until something within you changes first. You can switch environments, switch routines, switch the people you spend time with, but if the beliefs you carry about yourself stay the same, everything eventually falls back into the same patterns. Improving your inner dialogue is not just about thinking positively. It is about recognizing the voice inside your head that has been shaping your entire reality, sometimes without your permission. It is about understanding that the words you whisper to yourself in the quiet moments have more power than anything anyone else could ever say. You know that voice, the one that tells you you are not ready, the one that reminds you of past mistakes like they define your entire future, the one that whispers you are not enough, not capable, not deserving of something better. It sounds familiar because it has been with you for years, maybe even decades. But familiarity does not make it truth. And if you want to value yourself, you have to challenge that voice. You have to talk back. You have to interrupt the cycle, because here is the truth, that inner critic is rarely your own voice. It is a collection of old judgments, old fears, old moments where you felt small, where you felt rejected, where you felt embarrassed or overlooked. You repeated those moments to yourself so many times that they became beliefs, and beliefs become habits. And habits become identity, but identity can be rewritten. And it starts with how you talk to yourself when no one is watching. Every day, your mind is listening. It is paying attention to how you react to challenges, how you handle disappointment, how you treat yourself when things do not go perfectly. If the first thing you say to yourself is that you failed, then your mind will believe you. But if you start telling yourself that you are learning, growing, improving, then that becomes your foundation. When you shift your inner dialogue, you shift the entire direction of your life. Improving your inner dialogue does not mean ignoring your flaws. It means refusing to weaponize them against yourself. It means giving yourself the same compassion you give to everyone else. It means acknowledging the progress you have made instead of only focusing on what is missing. It means catching yourself in the middle of a negative thought and choosing a better one. Maybe not a perfect one, maybe not an overly optimistic one, but a kinder one, a truer one. And you will notice something powerful when you do this. Your confidence begins to grow, not because everything is suddenly easy, but because you are no longer tearing yourself down before you even start. Your decisions become clearer, your boundaries become stronger, your dreams feel reachable because your inner voice is finally supporting them instead of fighting them. You become someone you trust, someone you respect, someone who deserves the life they are building. Because once you learn to speak to yourself with value, the rest of the world eventually follows. At some point, you have to sit with yourself and admit that you have spent far too long waiting for the perfect moment. Waiting for the right timing, the right motivation, the right level of confidence, the right circumstances to magically line up and give you permission to start. But life does not reward waiting. It rewards movement. It rewards those who decide that progress matters more than perfection. Those who understand that taking imperfect action is better than doing nothing at all. The truth is, most people never start because they want their first step to look impressive. They want it to feel smooth, polished, certain. But real growth never begins that way. Real growth begins in the mess, in the shaky beginnings where you are unsure, where you stumble, where you second-guess everything. The magic is not in starting perfectly. The magic is in starting honestly, starting with what you have, where you are, and who you are right now. And yes, that takes courage. It takes courage to take action when you do not feel ready. It takes courage to show up even when the voice in your head is telling you to wait a little longer. But courage is built through action, not the other way around. You become confident by doing the things that scare you, not by thinking about them. You become capable by trying, failing, learning, adjusting, and trying again. Action shapes you. Action evolves you. Action pulls you out of the person you used to be and into the person you are becoming. You cannot value yourself if you keep abandoning your own potential. Every time you hold yourself back, every time you choose comfort over growth, every time you say maybe later to something your heart is begging you to do now, you send a message to your mind that your dreams are optional, but they are not optional. They are clues. They are signals. They are the compass pointing you toward the life meant for you. Taking action, even the smallest step, is a declaration that you believe you are worthy of that life. It is proof that you trust yourself enough to try. And the beautiful thing is, once you take that step, the next one becomes easier. Then the next, and eventually, momentum carries you forward in ways you never imagined. You look back one day and realize it was never about talent or luck or perfect timing. It was always about the courage to begin. So ask yourself right now, what have you been putting off? What dream have you placed on a shelf waiting for a sign? What part of your life is begging you to take action? Start small, start messy, start scared, just start. Because the moment you take action, you prove to yourself that you are worth the effort.